Okay, my name is Stacey Blayden. I'm currently from Yale, and I'm a vice president for a group called Y2X Crew. U2 Extreme is about the potential youths that are encouraging other youths to do positive stuff. And also, I work in a community center for at least 2 weeks. And I'm going to be here for at least 2 more weeks until I'm finished. I will at least be here for a month. Yeah, that's it.
I'm coming from Slovenia. I'm a youth worker in an organization for developing voluntary work in Slovenia, Novo Mesto. So basically I'm working in a daily center, just helping social excluded children with school, with computers, with language, of course. Since Novo Mesto is really close to the border, there is a lot of refugees, so our mainly goal is just to help them to be better in society with Slovenian people.
My name is Müslüm. I am a teacher. I teach in a vocational and technical school in Tokat, in Turkey. Migrants is our target group, and youth migrants. We work integration for Turkish people 2 years. We organized 2 picnic, Brotherhood Picnic 1 and Brotherhood Picnic 2. This year we interested in their families because they married very young, very young. It is big problem, and domestic violence in immigrants is our target. And some Turkish people don't like immigrants, and their behavior is not good. We change their behaviors to look immigrants, and some immigrants don't like Turkish people. We work to make together activities, especially young people, sport activities, music activities, dancing, and etc. All target groups.
Williams from St. Martin, well, not originally from St. Martin. I'm from the land called Dominica, the Commonwealth of Dominica, which is a British island. Migrated to St. Martin 24 years ago and been living here ever since. I've just resigned from the president after 7 years of a youth organization where we did a lot of activities with youths. I've been working for the Ministry of Justice as an immigration officer for the last 6 years. And in 2015, I met Mesut and we started on project how we gonna try to bring awareness from Europe and the Caribbean, where people in Europe can understand what the culture is in the Caribbean, and the Caribbean people can understand about Europe. Because even though our history comes from Europe, because we was once ruled by the British, the Spaniards, and the Portuguese, a lot has changed over the years. And our culture is very much different, because in certain cases we don't do refugees, we don't do asylums, but we do migration, whereas in Europe it's different. So the aim is that we were able to bring awareness where both sides can understand how each other operates, and by doing so you're able to enjoy the Caribbean that most people do, sand, sea and beach.
Hello, my name is Anna. I am theoretically from Malta and practically from Poland. I am a teacher. I work in a school. It is a special school when we have students with emotional, psychological, behavioral problems, ADHD, Asperger's. Well, it is not really special education because there are not many students who are. Now we have one student who has Asperger. Mostly these are students who either had problems with learning in other schools or behavioral problems. So they learned in our school. It is a private school. It is a school under the Catholic Association in Germany. And in our school they have chance to finish, to get certificates, to finish the school.
Is it hard to study there? Is it hard?
Is it hard?
Hard?
I think it is easier because the classes are very small.
No.
From 5 to 10 students in a class, and there's always a teacher and additional helper. Pedagogical helpers.
We have special needs students too, but I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Later.
And we have a lot of students with roots from other countries, with mostly from Poland, but we have also either both parents immigrants or mixed, Russia, Serbia, many.
Everybody, good morning and welcome. My name is Paulo and I come from Portugal. I'm a volunteer at the Portuguese NGO Sonhos de Igualdade. My degree is on community development and mental health, and I have post-graduation in project management and evaluation. And I work especially with social projects around migration and integration, and that's what I do as a volunteer in the NGO. But also before that, I used to work at the High Commission for Migration in Portugal, dealing with the welcoming and integration of the migrants and refugees. And the issues you were talking about of making bridges and creating spaces for dialogue is very, very important, especially for me because I have a migrant background, although I was born in Europe. So my life story is also a connection of different parts of the world. And it's really good when people get to know more and to learn through the cultural trips, because I think most of all what we face today is a clash of ignorance. People don't know each other, so the fear regarding the other is really rising. And if we combat that with different meetings like this one, I think it's definitely interesting.
Association for Development Voluntary Work from Novo Mesto. Since I'm living in Slovenia for 3 years, I started working there as a youth worker, and I'm a student of informatics, so I'm helping the excluded kids, socially excluded kids, to learn them the basics of programming and the basics of mathematics. So that's the area which I'm covering to help them to improve themselves, because a lot of them, they don't have a possibility even to work on a computers and those things like that, and in our association we are giving them a chance to learn something that in the future will for sure help them.
Sandra, I'm from Portugal. I am the secretary of the association Sonhos de Igualdade, Equality Dreams, as she said. I also work with seminar organizations. Professionally, I work on a bank. I'm here to be able to understand more about your culture. I am a very multicultural person. I really enjoy to learn with everybody and be able to give you my experience of my country as well. So thank you so much.
Also coming with Slovenian team. Also work as a volunteer in our NGO in Novo Mesto. I think also for 25 years I have been working on the cultural field, because as a professional I work in a cultural center with amateur groups, folk field, music, instrumental, drama, film, animating film. So this is my field for working with young people, different cultural activities.
I'm from Portugal. As a professional, I am a lawyer and I work in migration area already for 11 years, helping the migration being legal in our country. And in the association Sonhos de Igualdade, it means Sonhos de Igualdade. It means dreams of equality. It's an association that defends the equal rights for everyone, equal gender between men and women, and fights against discrimination, all the kind of discriminations with minorities or gender, and all kind of discrimination. We have some projects in migration, refugees, and also some training, technical training. I'm the vice president, and I'm looking forward to meet you. Some of you I already met. I have the pleasure of meeting. The others that I don't have, so I will have the pleasure of meeting you and know a little more about your projects. Thank you.
I'm from Slovenia. I'm a volunteer at our NGO in Novo Mesto. For 20 years I work with young people and with past few years with immigrants, because Novo Mesto was on a route, so-called Balkan route, and we have a lot of interaction with them because we help these poor people who came. Let us say in one night there was 500,000 people crossing our border. One night. My work at our NGO is to help young people. We have two goals. In our city there is a long history of migrants from former Republic of Yugoslavia. We have Croatians, Serbs, Bosnians, and Kosovars. Because in Novo Mesto there is for many years it's multicultural, yes, and we have workers that came and then go to Europe, and it was Novo Mesto often the town or city to stay for a month, 2 or 3, and that is for 50 years already. So we help our people in Novo Mesto, because there is a lot of misunderstanding and misguidance and something, and we must learn our people what is the quality that other people bring to us, and we must learn the little ones. And we have that what Cedo and Tena already said. We like this community center, daily centers. We have a lot of gypsies, so that is already for 100 or 200 years in Novo Mesto, not now. And we have a lot of communities of them, and there is also a lot of clashes, and so we have a lot to do, and we are trying our best. So in San Martin we hope we will have some good experience.
And this is John.
Hello.
John hails from the UK, but because of me he lives in Malta.
Yes, questions.
And we both we help Mark within his foundation, with Genista Foundation, where we get students to come and do a work experience. However, on another note, we do other voluntary work. We have offered free hours time to the president of Malta, and we were assigned to a foundation called the Jamantit Foundation, and we take care of single mothers. At the moment, we have been doing this over a year. We take care of a single mother with 2 children, and I say we because John helps me a lot. When I cannot do something, like
she gives the order.
I give. It's because the mother, I'm a mentor, so I have had this mother go through a lot since we met, and she started studying, and now she will be qualified to work as a healthcare assistant. So I also work. I'm employed with the Ministry for Finance, and we have to put the children in childcare while I'm at work and the mother is studying. So John comes in because when we need to pick up the children from the childcare, John will pick them up or I will pick them up until the mother finishes. Hopefully she will graduate soon, and she will also have a job so that she wouldn't be on social benefits. And this is a real achievement for us because we see her from being, she was very underprivileged, single mother, no family, coming from drug background, and now she's been through a lot, but she's getting on her feet, and this is what we really enjoy doing.
Yunus Kıymet. I am from Turkey. I like Tokat. I am teacher. I am 5 years old.
You are not 5 years old.
I have
5 yıldır şeysin diyeceğim.
I have 4 children.
Tabii ya, for everybody. Size yardım etsin. Ne demek istiyorsun?
I will translate it now.
Yes.
I am
Türkçesini söyle çevirsin.
kaç çocuğu evliyim?
Yeah, he is married and he has 4 children.
Not he is 4 years old. He has 4 children.
Tell me. I said no.
I am
Söyle konuşmak istiyor adam. He wants
next
to
to meet you
present
every day. Next to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We are very glad to meet you too.
Thank you.
From the same association, Sanj Igulav. I'm a member of this association, and I teach biology in the school. In this school we have refugees, a little group, and we try to resolve some problems of these children and to stay well in the society. And I am a member of the group of teachers to volunteer in the place in Lisbon. We have a lot of immigrants, and we have a class for to learn and resolve some problems to hope these children have more competence and stay well in our countries and in our society.
Hello,
My name is Cindy. I am a food and beverage teacher.
from Antalya. Yes, same. Antalya is the most popular part of Turkey, for tourism part. Yeah, it's a luxury. It has luxury hotels. That's why we are working in a tourism and vocational high school.
Bir de şey demek istiyorum. Daha önce K2'lerle mesleki eğitimle ilgili çalıştık birlikte.
Together. We work together like this Erasmus project. That's why we are in a team.
Thank you.
Antonia. I was born and raised on St. Martin. A little history about myself. I am a preschool teacher for 3 to 4 year old children, and I'm also a youth leader at the community center where we are currently at right now. And I do a lot of volunteer work, yes, in the community, basically my camps, working with different children with disabilities, children with problems, like abuse problems and so forth. I love what I do.
Basically, our foundation was founded in 2002. It was a splinter group from another environmental organization, because that's how we started. But over the years, we spread out into different areas. Basically, we still have the environmental section, which works on its own, manages nature reserve and organizes training on organic farming, because we were the organization which introduced organic farming on the island. Then we have 2 other branches which are on migration, because migration in Malta is a big issue. At the moment in summer we have boats coming in every day with hundreds of people. So it creates a lot of problems, both logistically and also diplomatically, with other European countries who will take responsibility of accepting the refugees, because we cannot hold all the refugees. And the other section is media. And media, we use media as a way of how to integrate the other sections. We give an opportunity to people who think they are not capable because of educational difficulties or social issues, how to use media as a means of giving out what they feel inside, so that makes them integrate into society. This is our 150 project. In these past years, we were also commissioned by the Ministry of Social Welfare to accept young people with severe social problems, either single mothers with 2 or 3 babies, like Lillian was mentioning. Most of them had drug issues. We also got some young people who had already served 5-10 years in prison, so they don't really know about society because they have spent their young years in prison. And we also had others who had stopped school at 12 years old, So basically they didn't have any proper education and no social skills. So we had a very big task having these young people working in our center. I can say that we were scared initially because you have a concentration of people with problems, and but over a period of time, after 9 months, because they were assigned to us for 9 months, I am happy to say that most of them found a job, a full-time job, and I still keep contact with them, and they share with me, you know, how their life has changed, and that they did not go back into prostitution and drugs and criminology. So that gives you a big satisfaction. We also had a similar project to this in Palestine, where we worked on a one-year project there with refugees, and there we used media as a means of how these young people can express their feelings towards the occupation of their country and the lack of opportunities they were experiencing them. When I went there, I was literally shocked on two aspects. One shock was that I was asked by the youths if we could stay till 6 or 7 o'clock rather than finish at 2 o'clock. And that shocked me, because normally they will tell you when can we finish so we go and enjoy ourselves. But these youngsters wanted more time for training. And another aspect which shocked me was I was invited every day there to eat in the huts of their parents, because they are literally huts and not houses. And you can see the poverty, but from the small food that they had, they want you to eat with them. And they were really poor, because they were sharing basically a small room, 1/4 of this room, where 10 people will have to sleep, eat, do everything in this room. And even to do their needs, they just do it in a bucket and throw it outside, which flows all along the alleys. And the worst thing for these people is that they have been there. They are now the 4th generation of refugees since the 1967 war. So you know, the oppression of these people and the lack of opportunities is there. But I was very happy that they produced 8 videos, which were good quality videos, because then we talked to some producers there who let us use the Palestinian television station to use their equipment, and we had professional people helping them. And it was a very nice thing to see that they came out with videos showing their culture. Because first thing I told them was I don't want to see any violence or military people or people in uniform in the videos. And that gave us also, the trainers, a very good experience of when we used it in our projects. So basically that's all about me. Now you...
Thank you so much. So yes, I am Turkish, but I live in San Martin for maybe 2 years, more than 2 years, but I used to live in different Caribbean countries and Latin American countries. Then we decided to stay here, especially for business, but in the same time we continue to do Erasmus Plus with these 2 different foundations and with 1 association. And I study mechanical engineering, but never try. Never try one day. What else? Yeah, we used to live in Montserrat, then because of some reasons, some meetings regarding the Erasmus Plus and then some different international projects, we used to come here. And then we set it up company with my friend Dinçer. He will involve us at 22nd of July, which is Monday, right? Monday. So you will see him on Monday. He will come from Turkey. In same time, regarding that, we are doing some Erasmus Plus projects. Caribbean Education and Culture Foundation. We set it up together with my friend like 2 years ago, and then we involved more than maybe 50 young people to Europe. From here to Europe, in same time, we used to work with university and this, you can imagine the Caribbean islands that they know that European Commission give a chance to European territories in Caribbean, which means like We are working with Dutch National Agency, but we used to have experience with French National Agency and British Council. So we used to work with Montserrat and Anguilla. Now we are working with Guadeloupe, we are working with Martinique, and we are working French Guiana, which is in South America. In the same time, we are working with Aruba, Curaçao, and San Martin, which is Dutch territories. So we are just trying to have a few organizations like active in Erasmus Plus like us. We are a few one in the area now in the Caribbean, so we are taking them as a partner in our projects like Aruba now first time and French Guiana is the first time. We used to have 4 or 5 projects with Martinique. We used to have a lot of projects with Guadeloupe. We used to have a lot of projects, the same number of the project with Anguilla. So what we are doing, we are involving young people to their projects and we are involving their people to here in the project. In the same time, we are teaching Erasmus Plus to young people here. We send like more than 10 countries. We send like maybe more than, we send like maybe 50 people to more than 10 different European countries, including some Caribbean countries like only Martinique. So they have a chance to go to see the different culture in Europe because it is a chance for Erasmus Plus to go somewhere like from here. From here it's not easy to travel, it's not like Europe to Europe. So here is Caribbean, even it's difficult to go from Caribbean to another island in Caribbean in financial. So this is a chance for the old people. We are happy to do that and we are very happy to host these all other 4 organizations here that we organize the project together with you. And regarding the subject of the project, that as Jason remind us that there is no refugees here, maybe a few from Cuba. But what we have, migrant, a lot of, I am the migrant here. I have a residence permit, I am the one of migrant. In this island, especially here, there are like more than 100 nationalities, so they are only coming for business. That's the thing that we do the same now, we are doing business here, but you can see more than 100 nationality people are here only for business. It is a lot of statistics, very strange, so maybe 20-25% of the whole population is only from real San Martin. The rest is all from other countries, which is the number 1 is Dominican Republic, then a lot of Haitian people, a lot of Chinese, they just come for here for business. So there are a lot of migrants, so you will have a chance to see the island, especially the culture, the people, the life, the real life in Caribbean, and then plus is regarding the subject of the project is migration. You will see the real migration country now. Everybody is like, no, like, all you see that from migrants.
I don't work with immigrants, but I work with local underprivileged youths. I mean, as I said yesterday, I take care of this young mother. And yes, as regards to problems, at the beginning it's always difficult. I think perhaps all of you experience this until you break through them. But if you show them love and that you're willing to help them, I mean, it's very easy to get through. Being a mentor, I was only expected to talk and give advice. But I realized that I wasn't talking anywhere, we're just talking and giving advice. Because I realized that this girl needed much more than that. I was telling her that she had to continue with her studies. Okay, so we found someone who was willing to give her lessons for free without paying, but there was no one to take care of the children. I wasn't allowed to take children in my car for the foundation I was working. So I had to bend the rules, I had to take the responsibility, get a car seat, and get the baby, pick up the baby, take her to my home, so she could attend lessons. So I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, and I still do it. So, because being a mentee, it's not enough. I can't expect to preach you to get out to work and then there's no one to pick your children from childcare. If you're working till 7 and childcare closes at 5, who's going to pick up the children for you? So I tell you go out to work and no one else is helping you. So we had to bend the rules with John's help and with myself so we could continue helping her. Basically I believe that in order to continue helping her, I have to lead by example. These underprivileged youths have a problem with money. So when they receive the benefits, the first thing they go to shop is, for example, if it's for the baby, it's toys. You don't need toys and new clothes for babies. I mean, her arguments used to be, I'm trying to give him my child what I did not have. I always say, teach your child what you didn't learn. You don't have to give toys, you don't have to give new clothes, but teach. So I have to lead by example, like taking her to shops where you can buy second-hand items I mean, I can afford to buy for her, and I do buy, but with her, I tell her, you have little money. Well, there are more important things to do with the money. Food, milk for the baby, utilities, electricity bills, those come first. So now, after nearly 2 years, we have reached, because before it was difficult to tell her, when you get the check, don't spend it on silly items. Now she's herself realizing that buying a new pram for 500 euro is a waste of money. When you can get a hand-me-down from someone, which is still brand new, give it a wash, and you only use it for 6 months. So this is how we managed, and we're managing. But I believe you.
So hello everybody. Yes, I work with youth immigrants. So I will explain more or less what I do, because I work with the immigrants in two several works, let's say. So I think I told you, the majority knows I'm a lawyer, and I'm an immigration lawyer. In my work, and I do this like a long time ago, since 2005. So I work with immigrants associations that help the immigrants to be integrated in Portugal in all aspects: social, cultural, economic, and what I do most is the juridical part. You know, to help them to take care of the whole bureaucracy, so they have the documents to be legally in the country. So I work and I work in this my work with these associations that I do, immigrants associations. There are people with backgrounds very difficult. There are people with that the parents, they don't have time. The immigrants, normally the immigrants have not a very good economic situation, so they have to have like 2 or 3 jobs, and then they have young children. So one of the problems is that the parents are not available to be with them after the school, and that creates a bigger problem, because the groups, let's say groups that works with drugs, with crime, let's say, start to call these young people to come to their groups. But so this is a big issue. This is one problem. Then, besides this one, that they stay, so young people that stays without a supervision from adulthood, from an adult person, and is more vulnerable to be part of these groups, criminal groups. That's a big problem. And then they are if they don't have a companion following, they are not very good at school. They are dismotivated. And that creates another problem. They are not happy. They are not doing a very good job in the schools, and one thing takes to the other. They are not happy in the schools. So they start to look for other support groups. Economic is complicated too, because the parents came because they are looking for a better life, but they are not having very good situation. So they feel excluded at economic level, social level, language level, and cultural level, because they have another culture. So, and this is the all problems that I remember, that I see every day. So how do you solve them? I work with 2 or 3 immigrants associations, and they are partners also from my association Sonhos de Igualdade. That's why I said I work with the immigrants at 2 levels. One is professionally, because I do this professionally with legal papers. Legal papers. That's my job every day. And then I work in the association, trying to help and creating conditions to help people to come to Portugal. So what we do about these young people in the associations that I work with them, because of course I do it doing the bureaucracy, but of course it's impossible not to be sensitive with these issues, and I involve with the associations, and I work voluntarily in coordinating projects, arranging ideas and financial to help the development of these projects. So I have 2 associations that I want to share what they do. I think they do a very good work. One is ACAS, It's an association that I work there since 2008 already. And what they do, because of the parents not being able to be with the children after the school and to avoid that they are called for criminal groups, they create a project financed by a High Commissary of Migrations, where Paulo used to work, but now it doesn't work anymore there. But it's financed by the High Commissioner of Migrations. That there is a space, ludical space for children with supervision for a monitor from the association. That they have a room where they have internet, computers. So after the school, there is somebody in the association that stays with the children and taking care of them and teaching them internet, using the things, and avoid them to go out to the criminal groups that are calling them. That's one thing. I work with another association that is called the Association of Africans from Conselho, Council. So in this association, what they do, this association, normally the immigrants associations are, these are association from Cabo Verde, association from Brazil to help the Brazil. This association is Africans from the council, so it has all the nationalities from African. Even the board of the association is one of each country, to try to find cooperation between all the countries, and Portuguese too and Brazilian too. Okay, there are also, Brazil is not Africa, but they don't say no to people because they are from Brazil. So, and what they do a championship of football, and the teams are created with the teams are with all the nationalities, Angola, Mozambique, Cabo Verde. So they create football teams, groups of singers, and they all have to have one of each nationality, like the association has members of each nationality from Africa. The teams of singing, the games of playing football, and they have futsal, teams of futsal, and they are good. They win things in Portugal, this futsal team. So that's my experience, and the things that we try to solve some issues, even if it's small, but at least starting for something. Thank you.
And I do work with young people, and I said that I've worked with young people in different roles and doing different things. And one of the things I choose to share is about something that we called a small grants initiative. So I was managing a public financing program that was targeting children and young people. So we were giving the money to the organizations, but then we decided to create a small grants initiative that money should go to the huge initiatives, like the young people themselves should identify what they wanted to do, and that money would go there, but not 100%. They would have to find small co-funding locally. So the idea was that the young people would go to the community, they would look and talk with people in the community, identify common needs, and then they would work on how to solve that problem, which could be done through design thinking or the methodologies. And the idea behind it is that without noticing, they would be more active finding solutions for common problems, and then they would make those solutions. And then most of the time, people would respect more what they did, like they renovated the park, they painted the school, they renovated bus stops, and they did some street art there. So several things happen if we analyze the experience, the positive recognition. They feel like they are the authors of the change, they receive the positive feedback, and then they start feeling the willingness to do more. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
I do work with the immigrant youth.
They come from former Republic of Yugoslavia. So we have Serbs and Albanians, and also now when we have a Chinese people, because let's say in Novo Mesto there are 5 Chinese restaurants. So there are all of the sudden, 10 years ago, they were little tiny people walking around, and they were lost, completely lost, because their families didn't know the language and they drop out of school. So we have this, and Ukrainians also, and gypsies. As I say, they are 100 years on our territory, and nobody cares for them. So our NGO took care of all of them. And of course, there are problems. The problems are on many levels. They are not so big, but there are. For example, some of the nationalities from former Yugoslavia, they don't like each other. Like Tena said, there was a young boy, Kosovar, they didn't like to speak in Slovenian, and they don't like Serbs. So there are tensions, and we have to temper them down. Problems are, let's say, for gypsy children, their parents don't allow them to go to field trips. They think that we will steal the child from the family. For years and years, there is also a problem in schools. So they are excluded from activity. But we went down to families, gypsy families. We talked with parents, a lot of talking. We even invited them to go with us to Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, and they were like big children. So now this first family we work with very hard, persuade other gypsy families. It's a tradition for them. In our country, they don't allow children to go to, let's say, seaside. It's a 2-hour drive from Novo Mesto to seaside. They don't go. And it's of course a problem because they are once again excluded. And the most beautiful part of all of this is there are generations and generations of immigrants. As I say, Novo Mesto is a melting pot in a way, because they stop here. There are construction workers that stay in Novo Mesto, and the ones who were once our participants in NGO, we work with them as children, nowadays 30 years old, and they are the teachers. So it's a circle, and that's the best. For the problems, if we can resolve this with ourselves. So we call them because they were once the ones we work, and that's something that's really checked. Yeah, that's so that I combine everything in one.
They are students, Afghan, Syrian, Iraq, Muslim, Christian students. They are 7 and 12 years old. They are good. We don't have big problems. In agitation, I work with immigrant youth. They have cultural problems. We work to solve problems with wide social activities. I work to immigrants. Trust me. Yes, okay.
Yes.
And you know, I work in the school, and in that school we have some refugee students, refugees, and I told you in that school there are possibilities to give for that families all they need to the basic conditions: house, food, work, books, and. But it isn't this everything. It isn't the most important for him. For him, it's important to stay with families, and there are some families there stay in Germany, in Italy, in other countries, and for example, we have 4 students in this situation in our school. Now we have 2, because the other 2 and different families suddenly disappear and come to Germany to stay with her, and so I think it's necessary to create a network communication with that families and connect them and study a easy form to put together these families in Germany or in Portugal, but it's difficult to stay separate, you know, because all of us have families, and you can understand. And another difficulty it is the communication in classroom, and in our school we try to develop the skills of these students, and if they have some how can I say vitórias, some success, but small success, we destack this success for to improve and make more strong, yes, to motivate these students. And I worked in 3 years ago in a place we have in Lisbon, Quinta do Mocho, and we have a lot of students in that place from a lot of countries of Africa, and we not construct a building, but prepare a room to stay with these students in the final of the day, to help the students in your studies. And I have a small story. It's because now it's é conhecido já é conhecido, ou seja, it's public. Our actual president of secretary Guterres stay in that class and help the students. Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
One day he came to the class and asked me if he can work in this. Yeah. Well, 10 years ago. Yeah.
But he wasn't a secretary then?
No. He was prime minister and finished. And in the time they finished, 2 weeks after they came to the class and asked me, can I?
Leading by example.
Yes, a lot.
But he wanted to do it in.
My biggest experience was working, especially in Ramallah, in refugee camps. That was, the biggest experience I had. But apart from that, when we joined in a large project which was being run by the Ministry of Social Welfare, that gave us an opportunity of identifying how we can work with refugees from a different perspective, because up to those years the European Commission was basically pumping in millions of euros to give to NGOs to assist the immigrants, but unfortunately many of the NGOs were just seeing it as a money-making initiative. Because as I mentioned yesterday, for example, when I visited the first time the site, I realized that they had huge boxes and packets of pasta and ham, which the refugees, they had not even seen before, because they never had pasta. So that was all waste of money and waste of food, and the refugees were not happy. we also realized that the way they were teaching them on integration, like teaching them English and teaching them Maltese, the way it was being done was, as Lillian mentioned, everything by the book. But these people, you don't know their level, their basic level of education. So if you don't understand their basic level of education, how can you teach them anything? So what we did was we said, okay, we are going to go a bit radical. In fact, when we submitted our application, it was a European Social Fund. Basically, I was called by the ministry to explain what this crazy idea was about, because they always had applications where people where NGOs were asking for millions, employing 20 workers, they want a new office, they want new nice equipment, new nice chairs. In fact, I went to an NGO and I was really shocked because I work in the consultancy industry with businessmen, and when I entered into this NGO, I find a state-of-the-art office. And I told them, wow, you have benefactors. They told me, we got it from the European funding. And I was really shocked, because basically what we wanted to do was we wanted to work with volunteers. Nobody is being paid, just being given a small amount of money to cover their transport costs.
Really crazy idea.
It was a really crazy idea, and we had a lot of other NGOs who were very angry at us because we broke their status quo.
Yes.
Because it was a monopoly of 5 NGOs who were getting millions. They just provide the 2-hour training in English. They don't care if they will learn English or not, so long as the teacher is being paid extra of what she earns normally, and we were providing everything for free. And basically then what we did with regards to the teaching was using role plays and using media. We are lucky that we have a very large, vast network of volunteers who are professionally working in different areas, like psychologists, like drama teachers. For example, the government drama school, basically starting from the head teacher and going down to all their teachers, they have one day or another all supported us in various projects by giving their free time to teach just basic activities. And also you are giving these young refugees the opportunity to meet with people, because when I get actors who are semi-professional actors, and you tell this guy who is lost in Malta, knows nobody, he's just a no one, just a number, a refugee number, and you tell him, listen, this guy who's going to teach you today, he produces a film, and we show them on YouTube the films, and they feel sort of important because they are meeting with important people, like you mentioned with Guterres, and that gives an opportunity, because we believe if we want to enter and do something good, we have to measure how crazy our ideas are, but also try to be innovative. When I get interns in our office, the first thing I tell them is, listen, you came here, you applied, I didn't ask you, you applied to come. You decided to come 3 months or 6 months, now, these are the rules. If you don't want to deliver the work, just, there's the door open, just leave. And enjoy 3 months holiday, I don't care. But after 3 months, I'm not going to sign any papers, so you will be in trouble. Time, I don't care about time. If you want to come at 11 o'clock to work, you come at 11. You have the task, I know how long the task gives you, you have to do it. So we leave them very, very flexible. And when we had these refugees coming to the office to do to learn administration work, at first they are shocked. So what time actually we start? I am here at 9, you can come at 9, you can come at 8. You can come at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You have your task, I need that task. On Friday, there are no excuses. You can work on the beach. You don't need to come to the office. But if you come to the office, I will mentor you. And that flexibility, after giving them this shock, they understand it. And even when they are writing, summaries, I tell them I don't want copy-paste from Google, but I want innovation and creativity. And the more crazy you are with your ideas, the better it is. To give you a small example, once I used to work with the European Commission, and I was tasked to do training to very, very, very top officials. They all came with nice suits, with ties, with secretaries, with their bodyguards, and I told them, okay, bodyguards, secretaries out, mobiles, tablets off, remove your bloody tie and your shirt. And the British commissioner, he came to me, he told me, sorry, you know who these people are? I told him yes. He told me, some are commissioners, some are director generals, so you don't tell them like this. I told him, listen, your commission, European Commission, is paying me thousands for this half a day session. So, because these people are up there in the clouds, where there's a storm underneath, so they don't even see what's under the clouds, because they have lost contact completely with the population. Because everybody tells you, yes, yes, good, good. Nobody says it contrary. And so I managed to convince this British guy who was really diplomatic that yes, he has to obey me. If not, it's not a problem. I leave, I receive my check and say goodbye. And I told them, okay, so now stand around. I placed and I made them play the chairs games. You know, when you have the chair, you have the music. When the music stops, musical chairs.
Like little children.
Yeah, like little children. Because I wanted them to understand from where they went out. And it was very shocking. And after, when we finished the day session, we went to a restaurant, a high restaurant, where I made it clear to the manager that he has to sign me a document which we will sue him and any staff who takes a picture with millions. If anybody takes a picture, we will sue them and close the establishment. And they all signed. And I made sure that all the waiters, nobody had a mobile. Because then they were enjoying and dancing. And these people were people who, if you're walking up the stairs, you just stop. You don't continue walking because they are gods. But that small session gave them back the reality of what is a human being. And that is the way we work in our association with immigrants and socially deprived people.
So I don't work professionally with youth and with refugees or migrants, but I work with through the association. Yes, we find a lot of problems: integration, social, economic, cultural, legal. It's a big issue. It's very bureaucratic. Language, of course, and education. So settling in the new country brings a lot of challenges, of course, and for youth people it's more difficult because they go to school, they go to interact with other kids that sometimes they are mean, they are not acceptable, they don't want to fit in sometimes. So I think it is urgent that the youth people, the younger people, should have training, practical training. You know, what do you like? What do you want to do? And to have practical classes so they can fit in. I have in Portugal. I have a lot of Brazilian friends. It's common, Brazilians and Portuguese, yeah, have a lot of Brazilian friends. And the big issue that they find, it's really the legal
that's my experience, most directly experience it with my Brazilian friends. And the big issue, it's not the limits, of course, because it's the same, but it's the legal, because they spend a lot of time on, they have to go everywhere, they go to the zone B. In the zone B, they say that they have to have a document from the zone A. Then they go to the zone A and they say, no, you have first to get the document from the zone B, and they go there. Yeah, it's a little complicated. And I think that legal assistance, it's very important.
I vote on you.
Legal assistance, it's very important. It's an issue, and that's it.
And we don't have many, but some students from immigrant families we do have, and they are not many of them stayed with their parents, because I think for 6 people only 1 is with the parents, and the other ones were taken out of the families and put to the orphanages, sometimes temporary, to give the parents chance to integrate and to get them back. Sometimes they stay there till 18. Problems. Of course there are problems. The first problem is with the language. Then there are mental and cultural differences and integration problems. They don't suit to the group, and the group doesn't really accept them. The solutions. Most of all, we should teach them the language so they can communicate with the others. Then they should, to do it very often they get like a personal teacher helper, who in the beginning teaches only language, but it is the closest person they can really trust, and when they have some problems they can go and talk to. The next level, I think, it would be learning the rules. At first group rules, then class rules, school rules, and then in the end the rules that are in this country that they came to accept and to follow them. And it is very important to build the openness and acceptance in the group they are, because it's not only that they have to change, but also people around them have to change to accept them and to take them in the group. From my experience, I wanted to say about one student. He's Polish. His mother is Polish. Now he's 9 and he was 2 when he came to Germany. And as I observed working, I worked there only from the last 1 year, but I observed that I am the person who somehow he obeys. I don't know if it is that he maybe feels that I am like his mother who speaks Polish too. So I am the person who, so he's not really obedient at school. He has very big problems with misbehavior. But when I talk to him in Polish, he is totally different than against the other teachers. And maybe that would be the way to somehow solve the problems with them, to give him the person who they will accept, to feel close, and somehow we have the same roots, and maybe this person can share, teach, lead them. Maybe it would be a good way. For sure.
I'm also working in an association for development of voluntary work in Novo Mesto. As Nina mentioned before, most of our immigrants are based on the former Yugoslavia country. So who is our, I could say, populations? I don't have to speak a lot because she already said. Do we have some problems or challenges? Yes, and because I'm working the workshops with them that are based on the informatics. Regular problems with them are mostly not knowing English language or the Slovene language, which is like the base, and then we are trying, if they don't understand the Slovene language, trying in English, then English language becomes a problem. So we managed a solution there, like helping them with the kids from the same country or a little bit olders who will come and participate during the workshops, and we'll translate to them what are we doing. That is the thing that really helped me and also to them, because I can now see what their problems are, what their needs are in the field of informatics. For example, in the basic of programming, those are kids who are old from 7 to 13 or 14 years, and there is something that they will use for sure in the future. So it's not like they're 14 now and they have to integrate. There's another system for them. So I think that for the kids, this system is working pretty good. The other problem when I'm mentioning the language is that one, and that they are not learning that much Slovenian because probably it's not interesting to them. So we are developing a new strategy, which will be kind of bit obligatory thing, that you cannot be involved in those workshops that you are interested in if you're not going to the Slovene language, because that is the base for everything. So if we don't fix that problem, then we will continue having the problems during our other workshops. So that's a short one from me.
Hello. I really don't know what to say now because I'm the last one on the Slovenian group. I also work as a volunteer in NGO in Novo Mesto. My experience is also with immigrants from ex-Yugoslavia, so Serbs, Albanians, Bosnians, and the main problem I see is our local community. They really don't want to see them. They are in Novo Mesto, and this number is very huge because they are workers, hard workers, and the local community doesn't really understand our NGO properly. They say they understand, but I think when you understand somebody, you have to pay him what he needs and give him enough space to have a daily center and everything this NGO needs. But the good thing is, so municipality and local community. As Nina also mentioned, that children who are coming from ex-Yugoslavia and Novo Mesto, they don't have, they have a language, they don't know the language, and even the teachers, when they accept them in the school, they really don't know for our NGO. There are still some teachers in Novo Mesto, and we said, don't you know about our daily center? No, we didn't heard. So we have to inform all the community about working in our NGO. So the daily center, supporting groups, for example, Albanian women, in their tradition is that they don't go out. If they go out to shop, they don't know Slovenian language. So we have a support group where they are teach Slovenian language, so they can go to shop and buy bread, things they need for cooking. But before husbands allow them to go, you have to talk to the husband. Why is she going to this support group to learn Slovenian language? So the solutions are these supporting groups in school. For example, my son was in grammar school, and he was supporting one boy who came from Bosnia. He was in his class, and I wrote my call the different sentences, how do you say, it's lunchtime, I need this in Slovenian, and he translated him in Bosnian. So he was his communicator, and as Cheto said, involved the older pupils to help the young ones who come to school. The good thing in Novo Mesto is that we have a different cultural associations. So we have cultural association for Serbs, cultural associations for Croats, Bosnian, Albanian folk group, who's the child folk group, who's the only child folk group in Slovenia. So every time some Albanian, very important political man comes to Slovenia, this group from Novo Mesto goes and dance. I think that through the cultural activities, we can show them they are people just like us. We don't have to be afraid. There's nothing wrong, and we must include them. So my experience was, for example, the musical we made. I just remember it was Italian name because we have a traveling tour through Italy called Dove vai uomo. It means where are you going, man? And this was a musical where children who were traumatized after the war in Yugoslavia, in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, they were staging their emotions through poetry, dancing, and they had different teachers, artists, very well-known artists, Slovenian dance teacher, poetry teacher,
drama teacher.
Yes. And we made the musical and we had a tour through Italy, ex-Yugoslavia, and it was great. And we also, Slovenian children were involved in this musical. So them and Slovenians, and they made friendships. The other experience I had is a poetry book made by young people who write poetry. Some of them, they can relate with the poetry, their experience, and we made through their language and translated in Slovenian and English.
Because I participate in a lot of things. And I am Christian, I'm a politician, I'm an immigration officer, I am a youth worker, but I'm also a migrant. I wasn't born in St. Martin, my parents are not from here. I migrated here when I was 9 years old. And coming to St. Martin as a migrant was difficult. Because I was bullied, I was teased, I was told that I came on a banana boat. It was hard. I fought a lot in school, but I did good at school. But it was tough. And then after I got into it, I decided to try and help the young people in the community to overcome that issue. And while we were trying to deal with it, LGBTQ became one of the biggest issues in Martin, because in the Caribbean it's not accepted. Whereas in Europe, in America, is widely accepted, it's still not. And while dealing with it, I started speaking because I'm a public speaker. I do motivational speaking. We started bringing awareness on LGBTQ, but it became a bigger problem. And lesbians, gay, homosexual.
Okay.
And because of how we in the Caribbean are so, we were raised up that it is totally wrong because of the Bible, we keep it that way. And Holland decided after a few years that to legalize it, and we said no, we don't want it here at all. So in no churches can any homosexual get married. But it's one of the biggest issues in racism here. But when it comes to racism in St. Martin, it's a big thing. And even though we have integration where everyone lives as one, we still create stigma. Because one of the things is that they say that most women from Santo Domingo, they married all the local men who has Dutch passport, and to get the Dutch passport, and then they leave.
Or they get all the money from here and then go back.
And then one of the problems is they say that the Haitian people, when they leave Haiti and they come here, once they get papers, they apply for American visa and they go to Haiti. And then where you have the Indians, they, over the years, they've been segregated. Indians only allowed to marry Indians, they live as one. But then, because of the Indians and the Chinese, we had a lot of, how we call it, abuse. So in this room, you would have 20 Indians sleeping in one room. That is how human trafficking became a big issue here. But we are so small, we cannot fight it. But then the problem is our foreign affairs department is not in St. Martin. It's under Holland. Holland is who manages our foreign affairs. So we don't have a say on the matter. We can argue it. But then the other problem is we only have one representative in Holland, which is what they call the Minister Plenipotentiary. But the problem with him is that even though he fights for St. Martin, Holland has the last say. So it's a lot of bureaucracy, but we still manages our own stuff. Something like that. because our finance, even though we have our own finance ministry, Holland still overlooks our books. Oh, no, this cannot happen. No, you need to change this. And then they said, okay, we're going to give you police officers, but you got to give them house, you got to put them up somewhere to stay. And then the economy in St. Martin is really bad. So someone who don't have a proper education makes $750 a month.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
Yeah.
So a lot of people here, when the children finish school, because education is also segregated. If you don't have a Dutch passport, you're gonna get a scholarship from the government. And they only offer scholarship for business, tourism, computer.
Tourism is one of the highest.
That they give a scholarship. So if you want to study like immigration lawyer, that's out of the question. Or chef. Teachers, yes. But anything to build up the country, they don't want it. And then, so we have a lot of children when they graduate from high school, they go to America, they go to Holland to study, and they don't want to come back. Because they don't get paid for the qualification.
Or when they go, they come back and then they're not qualified.
No, they are overqualified. It's just another term of they don't want to pay them for the qualification. So it kind of bring them, so it's easier for you from England to come here and get a job in management than they would give it to me who is a local. So it's everything is being, in a sense, segregated, at the same time diversified. Even though St. Martin has one of the largest economy in the Caribbean, they said that St. Martin is worth over $1.4 billion on GDP scale. So our economy is wonderful, but the people that manages the country. So that is one of the reasons. So in last year, they had a conference in I think it was in Trinidad or Barbados, and they asked St. Martin that it's time for you to consider refugee, taking in refugee. And we said right now we are not in the position to do that, but we hope in 2030 we can consider it. Well, the thing with Venezuela, it's a big crisis that we're trying to keep Venezuelans out because we cannot manage it. And we were keeping update with what happened in Trinidad, where they started striking in Trinidad because they don't want to leave. And we say if we allow them to come in, then where are we going to put them? But then the problem with the system is we have compulsory education, where even though your mother or parents are undocumented, your child has to be in school. Then the classroom gets filled, then it's difficult for the locals to get the children in school. Then we have medical, it's compulsory. So once you work, the employer has to give you medical insurance. Then we have a lot of migrants who come from away with their problems. And because we don't have a state-of-the-art medical facility, people that get flown away to Santo Domingo or Colombia for medical treatment. And then the country has to pay for undocumented people to go to Colombia for medical treatment and operation. So it's one big chaotic. So you will hear some people say that a lot of our issue has to do with politics, a lot has to do with the mentality of the people. Can it change? Maybe.
Yes.
But will it change? I don't think so. Because everyone makes money one way or the other. And I think most of the issue that we have here is just a money making. So this St. Martin is good now. Next year, we hope that things changes because the Dutch wants to come and take over, which
we don't want.
It would be good for us. Then the whole political issue, the games that they're playing with us will stop. But then if the Dutch come and take over, then bad for us, good for you. Because then you all can come to St. Martin and live, which then we don't want. Because right now, it's overpopulated. We have over 50,000 people registered on the Dutch side. But we estimated about 85,000 people living in St. Martin on the Dutch side only. So we estimated between the French and the Dutch side about 200,000 people, which is just for 37 square miles. that is overpopulated.
Yeah.
And because of the demands and the amount of people that is here, some of you have experienced the supermarket prices. It is ridiculous.
It's high.
Clothing is high because of the demand. And the demand is the fact that a lot of the migrants can't travel abroad to shop. So no matter the cost of the price, they have to buy it. But not apart from the food. Housing is ridiculously high. Right now, people is renting a one-bedroom apartment for $500 and $600, while minimum wage is $700.
$50. So what happens to the utilities? What happens to children feeding?
So now, because of that, you find 3, 4, 5 different people living in one bedroom to accommodate the situation, and then you find foreigners, when they work, they send the money back home to support the family, because in Europe, like Turkey, people leave and go to Turkey, Malta because of the fighting and the war in the Middle East. People come to St. Martin for a better life, to help the family back home. So you would find, just last week I was speaking to a Haitian lady, and I said, "Miss, how long you were out?" She said, "I was out for 6 months." I said, "Why?" She said, "For 21 years I was in St. Martin, couldn't get no papers. Now that she got it, she went back home to Haiti, and they had a big party with her husband and her children." So for 21 years she didn't see her children because of paper issue.
It's very difficult.
It is, the immigration process is difficult. And the more you get to hear people, the more painful they are. So that was one of the reasons why I joined immigration, because if I see the problem before, we try to stop it at the border. Because I know the moment you come in, life is going to be more difficult, your children are going to suffer. And some of the problem that we had was that a person who living in the country, that there was one time this Asian man, he sell his car, he sell his cow, he sell his house, he sell his clothes. And the little money that he had, he came here, and when he reached at the border, he was refused, sent him back to Haiti, going back to nothing. And these are the crises that we face. Can we take on the problem? We can. Not so, we are too small to do it. But this is where the money is. This is where the better life is. This is the second place next to America. So if they cannot get into America, they comes here and they get a life. So, but the problem is way bigger than that. This is just a form of problem.
From Turkey, from Antalya, Turkey. Antalya is the Mediterranean part of Turkey. I and Döndü was working there in a hotel management and tourism vocational high school. I am an assistant manager. She is a food and beverage teacher. And we are preparing students to the tourism sector for the labor market, the quality students. And we met Muslim. His name is Muslim. He's Muslim, and his name is Muslim. We met in the Erasmus platform, and we touched each other. And he explained us this project. As you know, we are the most immigration taken country in the world right now because of the Syrian war. And now it's a big problem for us, living with them and trying to help to them. And that's why we are very interested about this project. We hope we can take something with you and from you, and we can share our opinions about it.
And there isn't much that, even though we got help from different places, it's still difficult to actually cut what we wanted, because no one could have actually give us $1.5 billion to rebuild. Even though Holland pledged 550 million euros, it came with a lot of conditions. And because of where St. Martin was positioned in the world, a lot of countries tried to take over.
Really?
Like America wanted to come in, China wanted to come in, and everyone was making offers because St. Martin remains what we call the gem of the world. And it's one of the only islands that has, it's practically the only island that has the most European flights that comes in the Caribbean. So it's something that we hold on to. And when it comes to American and Canadian tourists, this is the place to be. So everyone wants a piece of St. Martin, so we are trying our best to hold on to it, but it's not something that we don't have the funds or the resources to keep the country the way we would like it to be.